The night shift is a different universe, one that only reveals itself when the rest of the world closes its eyes. Streets empty, buildings breathe differently, and silence becomes so loud it feels alive. At night, your thoughts echo longer, your fears feel closer, and every shadow seems to carry a secret. Tonight, you are not just listening to horror stories. You are stepping into the hidden hours, where ordinary people faced extraordinary fear, where true night shift horror stories unfolded in places meant to feel safe, and where terrifying moments quietly carved powerful lessons into the hearts of those who survived them. There is something about working while the world sleeps that strips life down to its bones. No crowds, no noise, no comfort of witnesses. Just you, the dark, and whatever chooses to move within it. And it is in those hours, when fear presses closest to the chest, that we learn who we truly are. Malik had worked the night shift as a security guard for nearly a year at an abandoned manufacturing plant. During the day, the place looked dead, rusted gates, broken windows, long hallways filled with dust and forgotten machines. But at night, it felt awake. The air grew heavier after midnight, as if the building itself was watching him. His job was simple: walk the perimeter, check doors, report anything unusual. He had done it hundreds of times without incident. But one night, around 2:17 a.m., something changed. As Malik walked past the old assembly line, he heard footsteps behind him. Slow, heavy. Not echoes, not animals. Footsteps that matched his pace, stopping when he stopped, moving when he moved. His heart pounded so hard he could hear it in his ears. His mind screamed at him to run, to leave, to abandon the job and never come back. No one would know. No one would judge him. But his legs refused to move. The lights flickered and died, plunging the factory into complete darkness. Malik stood frozen, sweat dripping down his back, fear wrapping around his throat like a hand. In that moment he realized something terrifying and beautiful at the same time. Fear was no longer something happening to him. It was something revealing him. With shaking lips, he whispered a prayer he hadn't spoken in years. Words taught to him as a child when the night felt too big. The footsteps stopped instantly. The silence that followed was so deep it felt sacred. When his flashlight flickered back on, the hallway was empty. Later, police found evidence of a trespasser hiding in the shadows, someone who fled when Malik didn't panic or run. That night didn't make Malik brave. It showed him he already was. Fear had pulled the truth out of him when no one was watching. Fear has a way of doing that. It peels away the layers we show the world and exposes the core of who we are. In life, there will be moments that feel like night shifts of the soul times, when no one is around, when help feels far away, when fear presses in close. Those moments are not sent to destroy you. They are sent to reveal you. Elena understood this in a different way. She worked as a nurse on the night shift at a small rural hospital where the halls were quiet and the lights dimmed after midnight. One patient in particular unsettled her from the moment she was admitted. The woman never slept. Her eyes stayed open, unblinking, staring at the ceiling. Every time Alina passed the room, she felt a cold weight in her stomach, a sense that something was wrong. Charts showed nothing unusual. Other staff dismissed her concerns as nerves or exhaustion. One night, at 3 a.m., Alina felt a sudden urge to check the room again, even though it wasn't scheduled. Her hands trembled as she opened the door. The patient was sitting upright, struggling to remove critical medical equipment, her breathing shallow and erratic. If Alina had waited even a few more minutes, the outcome could have been fatal. After stabilizing her, Alina stood alone in the hallway, shaking not from fear, but from realization. The same fear that made her uneasy had sharpened her instincts. It had saved a life. Fear is not always a warning of danger. Sometimes it is guidance, a quiet voice urging us to pay attention. In a world that teaches us to ignore our inner signals, night shift horror stories remind us that intuition can be a form of protection, a gift meant to keep us alive. Isolation is another companion of the night. A janitor named Samuel knew this well. He cleaned an old elementary school after hours, walking empty halls lined with children's drawings and lockers that creaked when the building settled. One night, while mopping near the gym, he heard laughter, soft, playful, unmistakably childlike. His blood ran cold. The school was locked. He was alone. The laughter echoed down the hall, growing louder, closer. Samuel leaned against his mop, heart racing, fear begging him to run. But he didn't. He closed his eyes and thought of his family, of why he worked these hours, of the children he supported with this quiet unseen labor. He whispered to himself, grounding his breath. The laughter faded slowly, dissolving into silence. He finished his shift, with trembling hands, but an unbreakable resolve. Isolation had tested him, but it also strengthened him. Alone in the dark, he discovered that his purpose was louder than his fear. Darkness has a way of exposing faith, too. A taxi driver named Hassan worked the graveyard shift, driving nearly empty streets while the city slept. One night, he picked up a woman dressed in old-fashioned clothes, her face pale, her voice barely above a whisper. She gave him an address near a deserted intersection. When the taxi stopped at a red light, Hassan glanced in the rear-view mirror, and the seat was empty. The door slowly creaked open on its own. Panic surged through him like fire. His hands shook on the steering wheel. With no logic left to hold on to, Hassan did the only thing he could. He recited prayers aloud, his voice breaking, tears streaming down his face. The light turned green. He drove straight home, unable to finish his shift. Days later, he learned the intersection was notorious for a fatal accident involving a woman matching the exact description. His faith didn't erase the terror of that night, but it carried him through it. Sometimes belief isn't about removing fear, it's about surviving it. Endurance often looks small in horror stories, but it is powerful. A warehouse worker named Daniel was locked inside during a sudden power outage late at night. The building fell into total darkness, machines silent, emergency lights dead. As hours passed, he began hearing whispers calling his name from different corners of the warehouse. They sounded familiar, comforting, dangerous. Every instinct told him to answer. Instead, Daniel pressed his back against a wall and focused on breathing. He counted seconds. He reminded himself that survival was not about understanding what was happening, but about lasting until morning. The whispers grew angrier, then faded as dawn approached. When the doors were finally opened, Daniel walked out, exhausted, but alive. Endurance isn't dramatic. It's choosing to stay when leaving feels easier, choosing to last when fear demands surrender. Night shift horror stories also reveal an unsettling truth. Evil often hides behind ordinary faces. A hotel receptionist named Aisha noticed a guest who never appeared on security cameras, who avoided eye contact, who stood too still. Fear told her to ignore it, to finish her shift quietly and go home. But something deeper told her to report it. Hours later, police arrested the man for violent crimes in another city. Fear tried to silence her, but responsibility gave her courage. Sometimes doing the right thing feels terrifying, but it matters more than comfort. Survival depends not on panic, but presence. A subway maintenance worker encountered a dark figure standing on the tracks during a routine inspection. Fear surged, but training took over. He stayed calm, followed protocol, and retreated safely. Panic feeds danger. Presence creates escape. And sometimes, the horror isn't supernatural at all. A factory worker plagued by night shift terrors eventually realized exhaustion was distorting his reality. The fear became a warning, pushing him to change his life, prioritize rest, and protect his health. Not every nightmare is meant to haunt you. Some are meant to teach you how to live better. The night shift is more than a job. It is a trial. It is where fear meets faith, where isolation meets strength, where darkness reveals the quiet power inside ordinary people. If you are walking through your own night shift right now, working unseen, struggling alone, feeling afraid, remember this. You are not weak for feeling fear. You are human, and within you is a resilience stronger than the shadows around you. May God watch over you in the darkest hours, steady your heart when fear whispers lies, protect you when no one else is awake, and guide you safely through every night until the light finds you again.